Hi, today we're talking to Ian from County Durham. How are you today, Ian?
I'm not too bad, not too bad. The sun's come out, so yeah. So
well, let's keep
so.
our fingers crossed it stays out. I think we're due some good weather, aren't we?
Indeed.
So would you like to share your stroke story with us, Ian?
Indeed, yes. Well, it all began on May the 15th of 2019. It was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I just decided it was time to have a shower.
Right.
Simply because I was a home worker. I had been for several years because of mobility issues. It was a lot easier. And it was one of those days where I'd got up and gone straight to my job at 7:30 and just to sort something out. And then midday you realise, hang on, Ian, you're still in your pajamas and you haven't had a shower. So I decided it was time for that shower. So I got in the shower, and literally as soon as I got in, something just went ping in my head, and I had sort of flashing lights, it's sort of a light-headed type of sensation. I thought, this is not good. So I just basically got out of the shower straight away, and I wasn't particularly wet, but I managed to dry myself off, and I just grabbed some clothes. It was a hoodie and a pair of tracky bottoms. I never wear tracky bottoms. I don't know where I got them from, but I grabbed those, got sort of dressed, and grabbed a phone because things were just starting to, my head was starting to ache. And I thought I'll just lie down and see what happens. Anyhow, I lay down, and the headache from hell came, and I decided, this is not good. So I rang my wife, Lynn, and she answered, fortunately, and explained what was going on. And she said, I think you're having a stroke. We better ring 999. So she rang 999. I think I was still conscious, but I wasn't, tuned in.
Yeah. And
next thing, I got a call from the emergency services to say that they were on the way. And I can't remember the exact conversation, but I remembered that I was upstairs lying on the bed in agony, and both doors were locked downstairs.
Oh.
And it was like, oh, we're going to have to get the police to force entry. And okay, but then I remembered that our next door neighbour had a key. So I said, our next door neighbour's got a key, and she works local. You could maybe just, ring the, it was local school. Okay, right, fine, just leave it with us. And next thing I know, the phone rings again, and it's Karen next door. She said, Ian, I'm outside. I've got the key, but I can't get in the door. You've left the key on the inside of the door. Oh, but don't worry, I'll sort it. Now, again, I think I'm still fully conscious, but I've got the headache from hell. And next thing I heard was the sound of breaking glass, and the door opening, and it was Karen's voice saying, Ian, I'm in, but I'm now going to have to leave you because the ambulance is looking for you. He's driving round and round the village looking for you, and I can see him from here. So off she went. And then the next thing I was aware of was the paramedics arriving. In the meantime, again, my memory's a bit dodgy as to what exactly happened, but I sort of started to go into some kind of jerky motions on the bed. My head was buzz. I could hear buzzing sounds, pins and needles everywhere, and I thought, that's it. I don't think I'm going to make it here. But I thought, well, you may as well relax. And as I said to Lynn later, I had this really crazy thought went through my head. What I thought was going to be my moment of death was that, here I am in the house by myself. I'm going to die. And I still haven't finished that job in the porch from last week, And Lynn's of the opinion that's probably what saved me, just that crazy thought, and anyhow.
Yeah.
In came the paramedics, and I think I was, by this time, the the buzzing had stopped, the pins and needles had gone. I just had the headache from hell, but I think I was probably reasonably coherent. And I think this is where things started to go wrong, for want of a better expression, because I thought that the paramedics and Lynn, when she came, thought they weren't convinced that I'd had a stroke.
Yeah.
I think they thought it was just a bad migraine coupled with maybe a panic attack.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I then subsequently vomited, and fortunately, I felt it coming, so they were able to catch it. And they stabilised me. My blood pressure was through the roof, but they got me stabilised, and they then actually walked me to the ambulance, which maybe in hindsight wasn't a good thing to do. I was halfway down the stairs, and I just felt a bit woozy. I had to sit down and stop. So eventually I got into the ambulance, and they gave me some paracetamol, and I thought, oh, great, you know. But then I proceeded to vomit again. So that was the paracetamol. So anyhow, they took me in the ambulance to the local A&E, checked me in, and I was in a wheelchair, and they just left me in the A&E room, and my head was just throbbing all the time, and I was, you know, just breathing, trying to just ignore it, for want of a better expression. And Lynn could see I was in, you know, some distress, and she asked if I could lie down, but they said there was no beds available, so we were stuck in this in this wheelchair, in the ordinary waiting room, you know.
Yeah.
And anyhow, somebody came and did a triage exercise after a couple of hours, and then I was just wheeled back into the waiting room. And I think it was after about 3 hours, eventually one of the junior doctors came and started talking about doing a CT scan. And she was a bit sort of, you know, reluctant to do it, but Lynn got quite assertive at this stage, and they agreed to take me for the scan. So it was about 4 hours after I'd been checked in, I was taken down to the scan. Again, Lynn's pointed out, she used to be a nurse. She said there was no specialist nurse with me. It was just me, Lynn, and a porter took me down to the scan. So they wheeled me back from the scan again into the waiting room, and I proceeded to throw up again. You know, so that was in the middle of the waiting room. And then I think the brown stuff hit the whirly thing, because the results of the scan came back, and they revealed that I had a brain hemorrhage. It was described as a significant bleed on the brain. And then senior consultants came in and started to tell me what they were doing. They were trying to find a place for me at one of the specialist hospitals for strokes, which was the RVI at Newcastle, and also the James Cook at Middlesbrough. They wanted to do another scan, which they eventually did after it was about 6 hours. So they did another scan for whatever reason. And after I got that, I eventually got some paracetamol via a drip.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Yeah. Well, Lynn had to go and chase that up as well, because they said they were going to give me some, and they hadn't done anything for half an hour. So she went looking for a nurse to say, well, you know. Yeah. So we had been moved from the waiting room, and we were now in a cubicle. So we were sat in this cubicle,
that's good.
And it stunk of fresh paint. They just had it painted. Well, I'm sitting there with a really bad head with this smell of paint. It wasn't the most pleasant. So we had the second scan, and I can't honestly remember what the outcome from that was. But they decided that I needed to go to the RVI at Newcastle, and I was actually blue lighted up to Newcastle. I got a ride in an ambulance. So yeah, so up to Newcastle, and I think it was quite early in the morning by the time we got there. So they checked me in, and the next day they did an emergency cerebral angiogram which was an interesting experience, having a bit of I think it's fiber optic tube fed up through your brain, and it was actually good crack. I had a bit of a laugh with the doctors that were doing it. It's really funny. They were funny, but anyhow, they couldn't find an aneurysm, so wherever it had burst, it had just stuck its head out and then gone back.
Yeah.
So non-aneurysmal subarachnoid hemorrhage. So yeah, I was 3 days on the high dependency unit, wired for sound. I've got a photograph of me with all the tubes going in somewhere, and then they put me onto I suppose an ordinary ward for observation. That was another 5 days, and then they discharged me just in time for the bank holiday. Took me down in an ambulance to the car, in a wheelchair to the car. I got into the car and banged my head. Yeah,
oh.
I've just had an SAH. Just banged my head. So so I got home, and we just got our thoughts together as to what had happened, particularly in the A&E. And we decided to submit a complaint. I kept it simple, basically focusing on why did it take them so long to do a CT scan, and why were they so reluctant to do it? Why did Lynn have to be a little bit assertive? So anyhow, complaint was submitted, and it was about 2 or 3 months later, we actually had, I suppose, what you would call an apology. Or in legal terms, it's called an expression of regret. And they gave me a list of things that they were going to change and do as a result of my experience, and hopefully that it won't happen again to somebody. But yeah, so as far as we're concerned, all the signs were there. They just, for some reason, weren't picked up on. And
well, that's it. You've gone in as query stroke. You'd think they'd rule that out in the first instance, but we know from speaking to others, you're not the only one to experience this, which is terrible.
So what went wrong? I don't know if there was a communication breakdown between, the handover between the paramedics and the reception staff, or what. But I mean, to be fair, once they realised that it was an SAH, it wasn't just a bad migraine. They did move with a renewed sense of urgency. So that was my experience of having a subarachnoid hemorrhage. I wouldn't recommend it.
Do you think they perhaps didn't think it was a stroke because you're of a younger age?
I was just talking to Lynn about this last night, and sometimes I'm my own worst enemy because I was very calm, and I think, because I normally am I think I'm quite calm when the paramedics arrived, and when I was in the waiting room, I wasn't, for want of a better expression, kicking off. I was very calm about that and just trying to deal with the pain, thinking that, I will get seen in due course. It was busy that day. There were a lot of people in there, that could be part of the problem. I don't know. I just got the feeling that, they just didn't have enough staff to cope, and possibly they didn't have enough experienced staff as well. That was just my gut feeling about the whole experience. Maybe if I kicked off, or I'd been sitting in the wheelchair rather, groaning and whatever, maybe I might have got seen a bit quicker. But I was just sitting there in my hoodie and my tracky bottoms and nothing else, which I was in for 2 days. I don't know. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. So maybe if it happens again.
Well, I think sometimes, for those of us that sit quietly and don't kick up a fuss, we're our own worst enemies sometimes. But you you don't know that till after the
Yeah,
event, and you know, you were coping with so many other things. You know, it's just not something you think about.
yeah,
I'm going to make a fuss and everything, but you know, it's
yeah,
and they possibly put you on the migraine side because of your age, thinking, well, he's not
yeah.
old enough to have a stroke,
Stroke,
you
yeah.
know.
Which we
So
know, is, you know, anybody can have a stroke at any age.
yes,
It's, yeah,
exactly,
yeah. And
exactly.
I didn't have classic fast symptoms either. You know, I had no speech problems. You know, my face hadn't dropped on one side. You know,
Hmm.
I mean, my body's pretty wrecked with rheumatoid arthritis, but there was no sort of paralysis or anything, you
Yeah,
know, on any of me limbs, you know, and they would have been able to tell that from all the tests that they do. So, yeah, who knows?
yeah. And again, that's
Anyhow,
another thing we're trying to get through to the medics, that you know,
mm,
it's not always classic fast or be fast symptoms, you know.
yeah,
There's so many people say, well, I didn't have any of those like yourself, you know, and it's getting it through to people that, you know. But anyway, on
yeah,
with your story.
yeah, and for the record, I still haven't got those skirting boards fitted to the porch.
That's terrible.
I've got the, I bought a circular saw to cut them. I just haven't got around to
Well, that's a start.
So yeah, it's one day, yeah, yeah. So that was the the tale of my sort of, you know, when it happened. But, anyhow, I came out of the hospital, you know, and I thought I'd got away with it. You know, I felt reasonably okay. You know,
Yeah.
I've seen the statistic that of people who have an SAH, a third survive with a disability, and a third die. You know,
Mm.
so I was a lucky boy. I hadn't really suffered suffered no sort of problems. My speech was still good. There was no sort of paralysis or anything like that. I had a slight problem with my eyesight. I couldn't see the computer screen as
All
clear
right.
before.
Mm.
That was sorted by a Trip Vision Express. Got a new set of medium range glasses, and
Yeah.
I thought, yeah, maybe that's you know, I've been lucky. That's what's happened. Little did I know, and it was about about exactly 2 months actually. It was the 15th of July. We'd had a busy weekend, and I hadn't been particularly busy in the 2 months. I had rested a lot. I hadn't done
Yeah.
anything energetic, but we had some friends come up. They come from America, actually, come over from America, and we'd just seen them off on the Monday morning, and the intention was we would meet up with them a week later and go on a cruise together. But anyhow,
Yeah.
saw them off, and Lynn went out to work, and I just felt this fatigue come over me, and it was fatigue like I hadn't known before. Thinking, what's
Mm.
going on here? So I went to the upstairs and laid down on the bed that I'd laid down 2 months prior, and I had this sort of, it's what I call the strokey fuzz, came over me, and thinking, you know, what is going on here? Is this
Yeah.
happening again? You know, and I took my blood pressure, and my blood pressure was going through the roof, and I'm thinking, but you know, that was probably due to the panic that was setting in.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
texted Lynn, and Lynn finished up what she was doing and come back. That you know, I was still alive, but I had this, yeah, this what I call the strokey fuzz, you know, which you're just
Mm.
tired. You've got this fuzzy head,
Yeah.
paranoia sets in. You know, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You get anxious about, you know, just you feel it's going to happen again, and that started. Yeah, it was July the 15th, and that's 2 months after the event.
Mm.
That's when it started. And we went on the cruise, but I spent most of it in the cabin. You know, I just couldn't
Yeah.
be bothered. You know, I was tired and whatever have you. So when we came back, we then set about, you know, looking for treatment sort of thing. So one of the things that had happened to me, and I didn't realize because I hadn't done it for a while, was that I couldn't watch television. I developed this aversion to watching television. I just couldn't look at the screen
Yeah.
for more than a few seconds. It also applied to computer monitors as well. It was just something in a monitor. My brother used to work for Philips, the TV company, and he thinks that it's because the way that old-fashioned televisions work, in particular, they put dots on the screen, and your brain fills in the gaps between the dots. And he says it might be your brain just not wanting to do that work, and that's why it's doing it. It's the only theory I've had, but I couldn't watch TV screens. I became sensitive to light. I still am, and sound as well. So yeah, we went looking. Well, Lynn rather went looking for things on the internet, and she found Headway, the organisation, and she got me booked in for a consultation with one of their retired psychologists, who did a brilliant job of explaining some of the things I was having issues with, such as the light sensitivity, the sound sensitivity, and just the fatigue, why that happened, why the brain tires so much. And she also explained why I started to sing in the supermarket. Why did you start to sing? I said, I started singing in supermarkets. And she said, it's because the filters in your brain that have been damaged, which would normally filter out background noise, they don't work anymore. So that's your body's response to that. You're trying to blot it out subconsciously.
Yeah.
So I put earplugs in, I stopped singing. But anyhow, that's
and everyone went, phew, thank goodness for that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, when in the supermarket, I always take my mobility scooter around the supermarket. So you can imagine I look a bit daft, don't I? This long-haired aging rocker on a mobility scooter singing the 3 Degrees or whatever. So yeah. So the psychologist, she recommended that we try and expedite my next appointment with the neurologist, and we did. And he got me at the CT scan. Couldn't find any hydrocephalus. My brain had virtually cleared of the blood. I mean, the headache stopped after a couple of weeks, and I had two scans, which the second one just confirmed that everything was clear. There was no problems there. The second one was quite interesting because I went in there and they said, right, we can put you on some music, Ian. And I sort of joked. I said, oh, right, have you got any Motorhead? Okay, we'll see what I can do. So he put the headphones on, then he put me into the big chamber, and he says, right, Ian, you're going to have to keep perfectly still. Okay. And then the ace of spades starts blasting out. Try and keep your head still to the ace of spades. And he'd found about 7 absolutely classic rock tracks that I really like, and I'm trying to keep my head still. Anyhow. Yeah. So as I said, the scan came and everything was clear. I contacted the employee assistance program, which we have with work, because I was still working time, but not at work. And I had 6 counselling sessions. And after 3, the counsellor said, Ian, that's it. He said, I've told you everything I need to tell you. You were doing a lot of the stuff that I was going to recommend anyway, because we'd found that out from the internet, from different strokes and stuff like that. But still the fuzz continued. The doctors tried me on gabapentin, which is some kind of pain-killing thing. That didn't work. It just made me feel rough. And they even tried antidepressants, which after 3 days, I was actually feeling worse, Stopped the antidepressants and I felt reasonably happy again. So I think I went to an NHS counsellor as well, and had a good chat with her, and she said, you do realise you've got a bit of PTSD as well from the actual day, which I'd never thought about that, but it's one of the things that you just have to live with, because at times I just get very frightened from being in the house by myself. Not all the time, but it's just sometimes when the strokey fuzz is really at its highest, then the fear does kick in. So But for me, it's just been this battle against the strokey fuzz, which comes and goes. It was with me for 4 days last week, but I think as a result of going on the internet and again, looking at web information, web material, like on the different strokes and also Stroke Association, Brain Charity and stuff like that. I've also, got my own what I call my personalized healthcare plan, which is, it is basically, I go into what I call sensory lockdown for 2 to 3 hours a day, where I just lie down, earplugs, shades, and just lock myself away from the world. But I've also started using some ASMR videos as well. I don't know if you've ever used those, but they're,
No.
I found, ASMR it stands for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. And it's basically, it's people doing soft spoken videos, just gentle spoken, either telling stories or doing a bit of role play. And I find that very soothing. And also, I mean, music tastes have changed as well, because I've gone from, as I've said before, being a hard rocker. I now listen to Tibetan flute music. And, I've rekindled a love of the 3 degrees as well, because I find that's music soothes a savage beast, especially when he's got an ABI sort of thing. So that's where I am. I'm this constant battle with the strokey fuzz, as I call it.
How do you get on with the fatigue nowadays?
I'm better at spotting when it's coming, I think. What I find is that if I'm getting to the stage where I'm going to be fatigued, I get a tingling sensation either between my shoulder blades or my chest. And it's getting to sort of like midday and I can feel the tingling coming on, but that's quite normal. It's because I've been up since, whenever, 8 o'clock, and it's getting that time when I would, just go into my sensory lockdown. So I can feel the tingling coming through. It's not a problem at the moment, but it can be quite intense. And if it's intense, it is time just to shut down. But I find that I don't necessarily go to sleep when I go into my lockdown. At least I think I do. I just need to shut off sound and shut out light. But I use the ASMR sometimes to as a sort of a calming type of thing. So
I'm the same. I don't go to sleep either. I just have to. I'm okay with light, but I just have to shut out sound, and I just have to sit in peace and quiet, absolute peace and quiet, to sort of recharge, I suppose. Yeah.
I mean, I have earplugs, my normal earplugs, which is that type there, as you can see. I've also got some very thick ear defenders, which are really for people who operate heavy machinery. But I find that they work as well. But just quiet room, and also with doing the ASMR and the flute music, I have a set of noise cancelling headphones as well, so that blots out any of the the background noise, which works, which is part of the problem. As the psychologist explained to me, it's because the filters in your brain that normally would filter out background noise damaged don't work, and therefore your brain treats background noise with an equal priority. If you're having a one-to-one conversation like I am with you, anything that's happening in the background, like the printer's just gone off in the background there, and my brain will see that in priority, and consequently, as a result, it becomes overloaded, tires, and that's when the fatigue sets in. But I mean, I don't know if I'm any better. I think what I am better at is managing the situation, because I can see it coming, and I do things that prevent it from happening. I think the problem was in the early days, I didn't know what was going on. And, I would just try and live a normal existence, get up in the morning, do stuff and go to bed. You can't do that. As you know, you've got to get up and do a little bit and then rest and then try and do a little bit more. And if you know that you're pushing it, then you're gonna suffer. So yeah,
that's it. It's you know, learning that you can't fight the situation and things can't be, you know, as they used to be and what have you. And like you say, do a little bit, have a rest, do a little bit, you know, don't have a to-do list all to do on Monday, spread it out during the week. It's frustrating, but that's the way, you know, most people deal with it.
If I'm going to do something, I ask myself, have I done this before? What I actually mean by that is, have I done it after May the 15th, 2019? Because if I've done it before that, that was the old me, but this is the new me with the brain injury. So therefore, I have to gauge how long it's going to take based upon, you know, my new brain sort of thing. And if I'm doing it for the first time, I haven't done it before, then I know potentially it could tire me out, you know. An example was the other week, I drilled some holes in a concrete block, 8 holes using a drill. You know, that in the old days for me would have been a quarter of an hour's job. It took me about 3 hours, but I knew that it was going to take that long because I drilled 2, rested, drilled another 2, rested, and got the job done. But just in a, you know, in a lot longer time than it would have taken me, you know, a couple of years ago. So but it's, you know, you've got to set realistic timescales. You've got to set yourself. You know, you've got to still keep doing stuff, but you know, just don't try and do them like you used to do them. Do them as you are now, and you will get them done.
So back to your music taste then. I can kind of see why, after a brain injury, Tibetan flute and the 3 degrees are a better option than hard rock. Can you still listen to your pre-stroke music tastes, or do you have to do it in small doses now?
Yeah, I have to be. Since the hemorrhage, I have been to gigs, live music gigs, but I always do things in small doses now. I don't go and do a full 2.5 hour concert. It has to be, you know, maybe half an hour, come out, go back in, you know, half an hour later. And I also use earplugs. I always have done for several years, but I bought some better ones, which tend to which blot out the volume but let the frequencies through. So you still get the sound, but you don't get the volume coming through. And you won't find me in front of the PA systems anymore, headbanging. That's those days are long gone. But we go to a gig. It's I suppose a festival organised by the Planet Rock radio station. It's really it's a sort of a Glastonbury for all wrinkly rockers, you know, because we don't stay in tents, we stay in static caravans which are centrally heated, and they have a series of bands going on through the day. And I was sort of listening to one band and then maybe sitting the next one out and then going back in, but it was really weird, the things that affected me. You know, I could go in there, I could listen to, you know, quite loud electric music, but the one time I just could not stand it was an acoustic bass. It just did something, and I think this is an acoustic bass, and it was driving my head nuts, and I just had to leave. Strange the way, you know, that the brain works. And it wasn't like he was a bad bass player. He was he was okay. But I can still listen, and I've started to play again, you know. But I have to be very careful. You know, I can't just go and play for like 4 hours sitting on top of albeit a little practice amp. It will have repercussions. So
So on that note, I believe you're going to play something for us, and it might surprise most people. I'll let you introduce it.
It's a work in progress, and I'll we haven't warmed up for this, so I will. To paraphrase Morecambe Wise, I've got all the right notes, just not necessarily in the right order. So we're looking. One of the things that has happened to me since I just wake up with silly tunes in my head. You know, the sort of thing was I woke up with "It's a Small World," the Disney song, the other week going round in my head, but played in a Jimi Hendrix style.
No way.
And I've actually written some. I've written lyrics to it as well, which is sort of a combination of Hendrix's "Purple Haze" and "It's a Small World" lyrics as well. And it's all my daughter's fault because she sent a video of she's thinking about learning to play the piano and learning "It's a Small World" so she can play it to her daughter as well. So.
The thing is, once that tune for "It's a Small World" is in your head, it stays there, doesn't it? It's one of those annoying tunes.
I wonder if I can find it, Sheelagh. I just might have it on the phone here. Oh, I got it. It's yeah. We might be lucky. It might not be. Oh, I'll just. I don't know if you'll hear this, but this is. I'm going to call this. It's a small purple foxy world. Yeah. So let's see if it plays. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
It's a small.
That's incredible. Is that you playing?
Yes.
That's a much better version of "It's a Small World."
You heard it first from me. So yeah, that was "It's a Small World" meets Jimi Hendrix. Yes. So that's the sort of madness that goes on in my head.
But then, you know, that's it's keeping your brain active, doing something like that, merging the two, the fusion, I suppose, merging the two tunes and everything. So, you know, it keeps the brain ticking over. And they say music's, you know, a good thing for that, you know. Especially,
so,
you know, with dementia patients, they say that the musical side is the last thing to go, you know. So you play a dementia patient song, they might not remember who you are, but they'll know the words for a song you're playing from years back.
Yeah, it's quite crazy. But yeah, the 3 degrees is the next one to come off the. I've got a guitar here, so if we can. We have a sound, I think. So, yeah, so as I say, I've got all the right. Hopefully, you can hear this. I've got all the right notes, not necessarily in the right order. So, you know, we're looking to do "When Will I See You Again," played in a sort of a hard rock style. So we get the "When Will I See You Again." I've translated that in my head too. So that's a sort of a school bus type of riff. I don't know how well that came across there. So the the melodies I'm looking to get a sort of a, I don't know, a particular type of sound, you know. So we're gonna do how's it go?
Excellent.
Yeah, so that's the start of it. The start, I haven't quite got that one, so I'm trying to sort of replicate, you know, the who's and the ha's that they do at the beginning of it, you know. So you got a yeah. So
Excellent.
That's the type of thing that I'm trying to get going on this one. So when it's finished, I will record it and send you the copy.
Oh, it's just amazing how, you know, things change, and, you know, life becomes different, doesn't it?
It does, yes, yeah.
You know.
Yeah. It's I don't know. I think during the pandemic, one of the expressions that's been used, and it really winds me up, is, you know, people are talking about light at the end of the tunnel. You know, from again, this is just my perspective. You know, to me, there's no light at the end of the tunnel. There's just the tunnel. But
yes,
I am motivated by the words of Winston Churchill, who said, "When you're going through hell, best keep going."
Yeah. Exactly. You know,
and you know, the light might appear one day. So yeah, who knows? Yeah,
that's it. And maybe the general public, shall we say, will understand more about isolation and everything for you know, stroke survivors, and how they cope with it, because they've had a slight taste of it
of our world,
you know, of how it is, and not going anywhere and not seeing people and what have you, though, you know, and getting back into the real world as we are, you know, they're finding it a struggle. Well, how do you think it is for us on a daily basis? You know, that's how it is. It's not just getting over Boris's roadmap kind of thing, yes, of dates and everything. You know, it's constant for stroke survivors to go through that. You know, and you know, the worry of, say, going out or meeting with friends and everything, and it tiring you out and what have you, and are you going to get through the whole meeting of them before you feel tired, or are you going to feel tired in the middle of it, and you know, and everything? It's a constant worry, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you know, it's just the way it is. So hopefully we'll have more understanding of you know, how we've got on over the years and everything, and hopefully the A&E services will improve as well from your experience. But you know, unfortunately, you're not the only one to suffer. So so anyway, thank you very much for talking to me today, Ian. It's been fantastic. And
as I said earlier, first there was Piers Morgan's life stories. Now it's Sheelagh Pointer's strokey life stories. Much more interesting program.
I don't know about that. Well, Piers Morgan doesn't have a lot of followers that like him, does he? So thank you again, Ian. We'll speak to you. We'll look forward to your recording when it's finished.
Yes, I'll get to now the strokey fuzz has sort of left me. I'll get to work on that problem.
That's brilliant.
You never know. It could go viral.
Why not? Why not?
And the Hendrix, it's a small purple foxy world that that needs some lyrics putting to it, but we'll work on that one as well.
I reckon there's a market out there for that.
For madness, yes. Not the band. Strokey Madness.
Well, thanks again, Ian. We'll speak to you soon.